has to kind of take pause and reflect back. And, you know, Pakistan's independence is a huge, huge marker in history, and certainly in all of our lives, whether we were there personally or have heard the stories from our parents. And I stand before you as the son of immigrants, as a first-generation Pakistani American. I think that is a unique journey, which, unless you're a first-generation Pakistani American, you could probably never understand. Okay, and you know, I reflect back at the marvel of Pakistan becoming a country, but I also reflect back at the elder generation, which is, you know, gosh, a lot of folks in this room who, you know, had a lot more guts than I think I would ever have, which was to leave their home country, leave everything behind, and in lots of occasions, you know, come to this great country with nothing in their pockets, and to come here and establish yourselves and raise families, but hold on to your dignity and your values and your religion, and come together as a strong and proud community, I think is worth 1,000 members of my generation who perhaps don't say thank you enough. And what I want to reflect on very quickly is, you know, I grew up in Las Vegas, which is weird, right? But it's not so different from Colorado. My parents immigrated from Pakistan via New York, then to Las Vegas. And they were one of a handful of folks, you know, Pakistani or Indian, in the area. And they banded together, they held on to what they felt was important. They took in from this very alien culture what was good and beneficial, and created a community. And that's exactly what's happened here in Colorado. They created a strong and proud community, and it began by getting together and establishing, at least in Las Vegas, it was establishing a very strong religious and ethnic community centered around the masjid. My parents were certainly very active in the masjid, as were all the families that we were connected with. And it became much more just a place you go to on Fridays to do your Jummah prayers. It became a center of the community. And I think what that teaches, at least it teaches me, is that getting together and forming a community and being active in the community is important. Folks could have came to this country, buried themselves in their work, tried as could to assimilate, and perhaps leave behind a lot of what they were brought up with. But the decision was otherwise. And what that teaches me is that you stand up and you be proud of who you are. You get involved in your community, and I think everyone in this room has done that wonderfully, as did my parents and community in Las Vegas. But I think on an occasion like this, and the responsibility of our generation moving forward is, it's important to come together as a community, but you know what, we need to take that next step forward. And that next step forward is, again, holding on to what's important in our lives, whether it be religious, moral, professional, etc., involved in other organizations outside of just the masjid. And that's what is so wonderful about the PCA. It's a chance to step out to the greater Colorado community and say, you know what, not only are we a proud community in and of ourselves, but we are a part of the entire Colorado community. I'm sorry. We are a part of this entire community. We are a unique facet of a community of many faiths and religions and colors and backgrounds. And I think moving forward, you know, that's where, you know, at least for me, you know, I found my passion with the ACLU, but for other folks, whether it's, you know, it's feeding starving children, whether it's right to bear arms, whether it's getting involved in the Democratic Party, getting involved with the Republican Party, getting involved with no parties, but speaking your mind, gosh darn it, that's really important. So I commend the PCA for bringing everyone together, making sure most everybody is wearing a tie, which I think is great, and stepping out. That's what this is all about, stepping out. This is stepping out and saying we are here, we are proud, and we are part of the greater community. So I thank you very much.
I promise I'm not going to speak again. Actually, we met with, we have Rain Peterson here. We met with her the other day. We just gave her a call and she was so kind to give us lots of her time, and we visited her in her office and let her know of what we intend to do. And of course, one of the steps was that we do want to volunteer with the City of Aurora and how we can do that now. So Reen is here with us today. She represents Ward 2 Aurora City Council, and we'll just request her to say a few words. Over to you.
First of all, I'd like to thank you so much for inviting me. I feel honored to be here and meet with the Pakistani American people. And I felt so blessed to be called upon and to hear that you wanted to be involved in our wonderful city of Aurora and do volunteer work. There are so many opportunities, and that's how I started out, doing volunteer work, and that's what led me to this. I was working as a family advocate in Aurora Public Schools, and I was involved with several nonprofits, and I became involved with the city government, serving on the Budget Advisory Board, and the Drought Water Citizens Committee Board, and the Planning Board. And then the next step was to become a council member. I'd like to introduce my fellow council member, Deborah Wallace, if she could come up here for a minute, please. What's so exciting about Deborah Wallace is I met her actually out doing public service in the community, working on projects in this, planting trees, picking up trash, just doing things for the community. And when we met, I called upon her so many times when I was in the schools, and I had people that had needs that needed to be met that were in dire straits. And I would call upon her and I'd say, Deborah, this family needs uniforms. And she would go and purchase them and bring them to me. I can't tell you how many times Deborah helped me in every way, from making contacts and getting free swimming lessons for indigent children, to health care for indigent children. And when I decided to run for city council, her seat opened for Ward 2, and I said, you have to do this with me. And she did, and we made it. And so I want to introduce Deborah Wallace.
I want to say it's a wonderful opportunity, and thank you for the invitation. I was out of town when Rainey had me, but this is volunteering in the city. No matter where you live, you can make a difference in a person's life, and you never know what you gave or passed on to someone else, how can it affect them down the line. And I think I know that's how I was raised. We often hear the term, it takes a village, but we know in today's society, it does take a village, because you have the parents, the grandparents, aunts and uncles, teachers, and doctors, so many people to help develop a successful person in today's world. And to know that we can, and I think Rainey and I bring a different point of view. We come from a different aspect on council. Because we volunteer, we did more grassroots. That's where you come up. And I tell people many times, I was elected, and I say this honorably, the gray hair battalion. You know, because 4 years ago when Rainey and I